Today, we're diving into this incredible ancient story. It's a story of unwavering faith, going head-to-head with the absolute might of an empire. A story about a man who faced a terrifying execution by fire and somehow walked away.
And this quote? It just gets right to the heart of it all. This frames the whole showdown, doesn't it? You've got the raw, brutal power of Rome on one side, and on the other, a conviction so deep that not even fire could touch it.
So, let's set the stage and meet our two main players in this historic clash. On one side, we have the Apostle John, the last living apostle. And on the other, the undisputed ruler of the Roman world, Emperor Domitian.
I mean, just look at this contrast. On paper, it's not even a fair fight, right? You've got John, an old man who should be powerless. But his voice, his message, it was getting louder than ever, and it was literally shaking the foundations of the empire. See, he preached about a king who was higher than Caesar. Now, for an emperor like Domitian, who demanded to be worshipped as a god, well, that wasn't just an opinion. That was a death sentence.
So Emperor Domitian decides that just killing John? Nope, that's not going to be enough. He needed to make a public example of him. He had to crush this spiritual rebellion with a really physical, really cruel show of force. And his weapon of choice? A giant cauldron of boiling oil. Let's just walk through how cold and calculated this plan was. Step 1, drag the old man all the way to Rome. Step 2, make sure there's a huge crowd watching. Step 3, get that cauldron of oil boiling hot. And the grand finale, step 4, hurl the apostle right into the fire. This was never just an execution. It was theater. It was designed to scream, I am in charge. And so, the moment arrives. You can picture Domitian watching from his throne, just waiting for the screams that would prove his power. His soldiers grab the elderly John, and they throw him into the boiling cauldron. And that should have been it. Game over. A quick, brutal, horrifying end to the story. But it wasn't. What happened next just defied all logic and turned what was supposed to be a moment of imperial victory into one of pure terror.
Just imagine being there. The entire crowd, the soldiers, the emperor himself, everybody is holding their breath. They're waiting for the inevitable, the screams, that horrible smell of death. But instead, this strange, eerie silence falls over the whole square.
The oil is hissing, steam is billowing everywhere, and you can't see a thing. But as it starts to clear, there's no sound of a man dying. There's no struggle. There's only this silence. A silence so unnatural, it's described as terrifying. It was the silence of something impossible happening. And then, as the last of the steam clears, the crowd sees it. John isn't dying, he's not even hurt. He's just standing, calm, right in the middle of the boiling oil, completely untouched. And get this is the most incredible part. He's not just standing there in silence. From inside the fire itself, he starts doing the one thing that got him thrown in there in the first place. He keeps preaching. He keeps testifying to the glory of his God. So the emperor, the man who staged this whole thing to prove his own godlike power, is now face to face with a power he can't even begin to understand. His big plan didn't just fail. It backfired in the most spectacular way you can imagine. And Domitian, he was reportedly paralyzed with fear. Okay, so now the emperor's got a real problem. He can't kill John, but he definitely can't let him go free, right? His voice is now more powerful than ever. He had to find another way to shut this man up. And that was the million-dollar question for Domitian. Physical force failed, so what's plan B? Well, if you can't kill a message, you try to bury it. You try to isolate it so no one can ever hear it again. So Domitian's solution was exile. He banishes John to this desolate, rocky prison island called Patmos, a place for hard labor in the salt mines. The emperor's logic was pretty simple. If no one can hear John's words, his influence will just shrivel up and die. Out of sight, out of mind. But here's the thing the emperor just didn't get. You can imprison a man's body. You can put him on a rock in the middle of nowhere, but you can't imprison his spirit. You can't trap a vision. So what was meant to be the ultimate punishment actually became the platform for John's most famous work. In that forced isolation, on that prison island, John received the visions that would become the final book of the Bible, the book of Revelation.
The emperor's attempt to silence him accidentally gave him his loudest, most permanent message. So after all that, what are we supposed to take away from this wild story? It really goes beyond just a historical event. It offers this powerful message about purpose and about resilience.
You can really break the central message down to this. Sure, the world can light the fire. Your opposition can heat the oil. But they don't get to decide how your story ends. The narrative here suggests that as long as your mission in this world isn't finished, you're essentially indestructible. It's a really powerful idea, isn't it? The resilience of having a purpose. And that leaves us with one final, pretty deep question to think about. If we take the theme from this ancient story and bring it into our own lives, if you have a mission that isn't finished, does that make you, in your own way, indestructible? That's a heck of a thought to end on.